The 2024 legislative session officially coming to an end at midnight Sunday, adjourning sine die.
The motion is adopted. The 2024 regular session of the West Virginia House of Delegates is adjourned sine die.
And what we're learning about the bills that didn't make it. And the race to the White House continues as Donald Trump and President Biden have nearly secured their party's nomination.
Eyewitness News at 11 starts right now.
Make polio great again, Act of 2024.
Can you hold your mic closer?
I have it about as close as it can be.
You probably remember getting your butts whipped up by a paddle.
My legislature wants to make me a perceived threat.
I hope that the gentleman could read the rules.
Whoever made that comment early in the session needs a frontal lobotomy.
750, 2799, 9928, 728.
Just want to ask all members to just tone it down a bit.
The legislative session bringing tense moments in both chambers at times. About 2,575 bills proposed, about 245 bills completing legislation and are expected to become law unless the governor vetoes. Good evening and thank you so much for joining us for this special edition of Eyewitness News at 11. 60 days after introducing and debating on legislation, some bills not making it across the finish line until the very end. Paige Taylor is also joining us at the Capitol with more on what bills did and didn't make it. Paige?
Daniel, the budget bill is something constitutionally lawmakers have to pass every session, and that bill passed last night with only about 30 minutes to spare in the 2024 legislative session.
The motion is adopted. The 2024 regular session of the West Virginia House of Delegates is adjourned sine die.
The 2024 West Virginia legislative session coming to an end at midnight on Sunday. Legislators rushing to get bills across the finish line and debate continuing into the final hours.
Do you consider the death penalty a pro-life issue?
Notable bills completing legislation just in time now heading to Governor Justice's desk. Senate Bill 280, which allows teachers to discuss scientific theories of how the universe and life came to exist, and House Bill 4883, which would raise the salary for certain state employees, are just two of the bills that passed on Saturday. One legislator wishing certain issues would have been at the forefront of the 2024 session.
We haven't done enough to address the foster care crisis in the state. We've done nothing to address the access to child care in the state, so young couples can get to work. And we haven't even addressed the high school transfer portal.
Another says he would have liked to have seen more focus on vaccine exemptions.
The system we have in place right now, I'm not very fond of. I think it's almost impossible to get an exemption in West Virginia. I wanted to see that system improved.
Lawmakers needed to pass the budget bill before midnight on Sunday, or they would have to come back for an extra day to work on it. Legislators passed a compromise budget of about $4.996 billion with about 30 minutes to spare.
I hate this process. I've said this every year that I've been here. This process is not great, and it's not the work of our finance people. They are wonderful. It is how we didn't get this until about 10:30 at night. This process does not work well. No one is getting what they want here, except the Senate. We aren't at all. So I'm a no on this budget. And there's less money for child care in this budget. So I'm still a no.
The potential of having to pay back $465 million to the federal government for COVID relief money increases the likelihood for lawmakers to return to the Capitol for a special session in May to iron out the budget further.
Whatever budget passes out of here, at the end of this day will not wind up being the final budget. We're likely to come back in May and readdress some of these issues after we get more certainty as far as the federal clawback due to the miscalculations on the part of the governor.
About 245 bills completed legislation this session and are headed to the governor's desk for his signature. And we have a full recap and list of bills that did and did not pass on our website at WCHSTV.com. Live at the Capitol, Paige Taylor, Eyewitness News.
Thanks, Paige. After a cold Sunday, we're going to be having a frigid start to Monday as well. The good news is the snow shower chances have ended here in Charleston. The sky's actually clearing out and the wind settling down just a little bit. We are seeing a couple of light snow showers still in the eastern mountains and some accumulation there above 3,000 feet eastern Webster County under a winter weather advisory, but none of that here. It's just going to be cold for the rest of this evening. The week ahead looks very dry, which is nice. There are a couple of weaker disturbances that could come through on Wednesday, but still warming up in that temperature department as well. Bundle up for the morning, though. We'll be into the 20s to start off your Monday, but by the afternoon, plenty of sunshine. Nice conditions are on the way into the 50s as well with a light westerly breeze. A really good way to start a gradual warm up in the weather pattern. Plenty of sunshine, and then we're eventually going to get into some soggy conditions for the next weekend, and we'll talk about that here coming up.
President Biden says he's regretting a statement he made during Thursday's State of the Union address.
Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal.
You used the word illegal when talking about the man who allegedly killed Lincoln Riley.
An undocumented person. And I shouldn't have used illegal. It's undocumented.
In an interview, Biden is apologizing for using the term illegal, referring to the suspect in the murder of Georgia nursing student Lincoln Riley. A 26-year-old Venezuelan is charged with her murder and is in the U.S. without legal status. Former President Trump is responding to Biden's comments.
He was an illegal alien, he was an illegal immigrant, he was an illegal migrant, and he shouldn't have been in our country, and he never would have been under the Trump policy.
Trump says Biden should apologize for apologizing. The presumptive presidential nominees are grappling for the upper hand on an issue that polling shows is most important to voters, and that's immigration and border security. And Trump says Biden is weak and that Trump derailed a bipartisan border security bill that would have shored up many of those issues. Now, former President Donald Trump and Joe Biden are both on the campaign trails and have secured potential party nominations, both on the campaign trail this weekend. But as both men share their messages to voters, a new ABC poll shows that Americans are split on who they trust more. ABC's Ike Ajachi reports.
President Biden and Donald Trump both visiting the battleground state of Georgia on Saturday, taking aim at one another.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans are trying to take our freedoms away.
You're destroying our country, Joe.
The latest ABC News Ipsos poll finds Americans are split, with 33% saying they trust President Biden to do a better job leading the U.S., while 36% say Donald Trump, and another 30% say neither. The poll also found just 33% of Americans have a favorable impression of Biden, compared to 29% for Trump.
These campaigns are going to have to give these voters something to vote for. They can't just say that they are an option to vote against their opponent.
Trump has been campaigning heavily on immigration.
The border is the biggest problem. I think it's one of the biggest problems, the greatest threat to the history of our country.
The last month, the former president urged Republicans to not pass any Biden-backed immigration legislation. Another important issue for many voters, the economy. During his State of the Union address, President Biden touting his administration's economic accomplishments.
15 million new jobs in just 3 years, a record. Unemployment at 50-year lows.
Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg believes the president deserves more credit for the economic results he's delivered.
It requires work to get that story out, especially when there's a fire hose of negativity, talking down the economy and trying to change the subject from the president's achievements, which is just politics.
The president now heads to two more battleground states this week, Wisconsin and Michigan. Trump's plans this week have not been announced. Ike Ajachi, ABC News, Washington.
A 53-year-old man is dead, and a Cross Lanes man is facing several charges in two separate counties. West Virginia State Police say this all started because of a burglary complaint. Now, the man on your screen, troopers say, is 44-year-old Billy Cattle, and he's suspected of breaking into a home in Poca and killing two cats. It's also believed he went to a home on Walnut Valley Drive in Cross Lanes where he killed two dogs and a 53-year-old man. He's charged with first-degree murder out of Kanawha County. He also has a $50,000 bond in Putnam County. Now, no bond was given for the first-degree murder charge in Kanawha County. Additional charges are expected to be presented in front of a grand jury in Kanawha County. He's at South Central Regional Jail. Both incidents are under investigation. An apparent water main break in the South Hills area of Charleston, sending water flying over a hillside this morning. It happened along Smith Road. Water could be seen pooling near homes at the bottom of the hill. Crews on scene tell Eyewitness News water is shut off in the area and the repair is continuing, so drivers should expect some minor delays. A fire in Charleston demolishes a vacant building late last night. Crews were called to the 5200 block of McCorkle Avenue Southeast around 10 for heavy smoke and flames. No one was hurt. And a house collapsed during a fire this morning in Logan County with firefighters inside. Incredibly, no one was injured. According to the Chapmanville Fire Department, it happened around 5:15 on Cabin Road in Cane Branch. Crews say heavy flames were showing from the second story when they got there, and while searching the home, there was a major structural collapse. The West Virginia State Fire Marshal's office is investigating the cause. Well, tomorrow, the West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection is holding an in-person public meeting to give information and answer questions. Specialty Products USA LLC is asking to review its permit for the operation of its polyethylene oxide manufacturing unit in Dunbar. Now, the first meeting is scheduled for 6 p.m. in the James C. Wilson University Union Ballroom on West Virginia State University's campus. A virtual meeting is scheduled for the same time on Tuesday. The West Virginia Division of Natural Resources will be holding 12 in-person public meetings tomorrow and Tuesday to discuss proposed hunting, trapping, and fishing regulations for the 2024-25 season. For information on when and where these meetings can be held, head over to our website, WCHSTV.com. Even with the snow today, spring is almost here, and the Easter Bunny is hopping around, visiting some of us today. Well, that was all at the Huntington Mall, welcoming Peter Cottontail and the arrival of spring with the Tea Party, hosted by Great American Cookie. The festivals are at center court, allowing families the opportunity to snap photos.
We enjoy it, and a little less different than Christmas because there's not as much stress. So the kids seem to enjoy it more, the parents seem to enjoy it more, so that makes us enjoy it more.
And you can take photos until the end of the month. Well, the Biden administration is calling on insurance companies to help providers out after hackers launched a cyber attack on a major healthcare system. The attack on Change Healthcare is impacting how care providers are paid. This includes hospitals, doctors, pharmacists, and other providers across the country. Change Healthcare is part of the United Healthcare Group, and it processes 15 billion healthcare transactions each year. On Sunday, Health and Human Services Secretary and Acting Labor Secretary sent a letter to healthcare leaders urging them and private insurers to make advance payments so healthcare providers' service isn't disrupted. When we return, meteorologist Dante Ricky will have a full look at that forecast and when you may need your umbrella next.